Hello everybody, my name is Ken. I'm changing the valve springs and the valve seals on my 427, and I thought I'd just show everybody how you can do that at home with tools that you make at home. The first thing we need to do is make sure our valves stay up. Right now they can just fall down in our cylinder. Piston's way down there. We have to have a way to hold up our valves. We're going to do that with pressurized air. It's pretty simple. I simply made a part to go in my spark plug hole. This is an old spark plug with porcelain knocked out. A air chuck, just booger welded on. We're going to screw that right in our spark plug hole. Always start your spark plugs or anything in your spark plug hole by hand. You don't want to strip it ever. That's quite a pain in the ass to repair even at home. So then we're going to just make sure that spark plug is in there tight, which we just did. Here's a couple of fittings I put together. It's got an on-off valve on it. We're just going to clip that on there. Like that. Put our air hose on. Regulator is set at about 120 psi. Valve's all the way up now. I'm not going to be able to press that down. 120 psi against the surface of that valve is going to hold it in place nicely. Alright, then we're going to put our spring on. It's got our retainer. We have our clips. And here's a trick little tool. I made this just out of some scrap I had sitting around, a little piece of pipe, piece of 1/4-inch stock. I drilled it, a little bit of grinding, booger welded on a 1/2-inch stock piece of steel here. And I'm just going to set that right over an old shaft. This old shaft is held on by two pedestals. You can move those anywhere you want on the motor. Of course, you have to take this one off, move this down, put it back on, do that all the way through. It's a little bit of a pain, but it makes it pretty easy, really. So now all we have to do is depress our valve. And I'm using a socket on top of my handle because it makes it nicer for me to hold on to. And I simply depress the valve spring, put in the keepers. I like to rotate them around, makes them easier to put in. Easier to put in the next one. Drop that one in, raise that valve spring back up, and it's in there. Now you can do that with a store-bought tool. You can buy a store-bought tool that looks kind of like this. To remove it, you set over the valve and hammer it really hard, and the keepers are supposed to pop in here where the magnets are and hold it. And then to put it all back together, you're supposed to put it together like that. Put the keepers in here and the retainer, put it on and pound it with a hammer on the back. That works if your valve springs aren't heavy valve springs, aren't high tension. These have got 377 psi or pounds on them, and this tool just does not do it. Got to use the tool I made at home. Works for real small valve springs, weak valve springs, but not good for a 427. So now we got our valve in place. It's all done. We just depressurize our cylinder. It'll slowly bleed off pressure. Take our valve shaft off. The spare one, of course, that we've been playing with. And we're ready to go. Ready to stick on the new valve shaft, rockers, and all that kind of thing. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.